In the previous video, I shared how a root awakening transforms many different aspects of your life in ways that you never thought possible. Getting to the root of the challenges that you experience, the problems that you experience in life, problems and challenges with lust, sexual energy, creativity, money, security, safety, feeling supported. These are all related to the root. And when the root awakens, you feel not just physically supported by having the stability of the pelvis, the glutes, the drive, the balance of that alignment, but you also experience that same safety, security, stability in all areas of your life. The previous video focused mostly on the sexual energy of the root awakening and how it has implications for the challenge that many face dealing with lust. And I expressed lust as being a leak, and actually this problem, this challenge, is more like a symptom. This lust is not really a problem, it's a symptom. Just like this spill, which the lust is a leak, and that spilling of the sexual energy is a symptom of not having the root awakened, where the energy is embodied, stabilizing physically the pelvis, which is like a basin that holds, that contains that sexual energy, so that it can rise up and circulate through the system instead of spilling it through lustful activities. You allow it to build up, and instead of feeling that pressure where you turn to sexual activities as a sort of valve to release, to depressurize the system, you are able to contain that charge, that pressure, allowing it to build up and circulate through the entire system as a unified field. Let's go into how this awakening of the root and the embodiment has implications for wealth, prosperity. Just like people experience the same challenge of lust and they don't know how to overcome it. They're experiencing this symptom, seeing the symptom as a problem to solve. And just like I shared in the previous video, I'm inviting you to go with me. I'm meeting you at that challenge, but I want to take you deeper into yourself to reveal, allow you to discover the root of what you're calling a problem, so that you no longer see it as a problem, but see it as a symptom. And ultimately, correct that imbalance by awakening your root, bringing the system into alignment, allowing the system to contain that energy instead of spill it. That lust can't be controlled, but it can be contained. And containment is not the same as control. This sexual energy should not be suppressed. It's simply being expressed as these, what you could call them, lower energy expressions, such as lust. But to allow it to rise and be expressed in different creative ways is for you to discover and for it to transform your life in ways you never thought possible. Experience different expressions of yourself. Now, how does this relate to money? Very similarly. And you'll find that if you have problems, challenges with lust, you also have problems and challenges of money. You can see the correlation here. The financial stability is very similar and connected to physical stability, mental stability, emotional stability. This instability is a result of the root not being awakened. And that base of support, the pelvis, not being balanced and in proper alignment. That spill that one experiences with sexual energy is the same spill of spilling money, not being able to hold money. That fear of receiving large sums of money is the same fear that comes from the root, that doesn't feel safe, that doesn't feel supported, that doesn't feel stable. The root is about the stability, the support, the security. That financial security, that financial support, that financial safety is all connected. When the pelvis realigns and finds that natural balance, it becomes that basin that can contain. And like that, you can hold money. You're not experiencing this collapse. The collapse that you can't hold large sums of money. You feel that pressure of responsibility. There's a relationship between responsibility and money. Responsibility and provision. Responsibility and structure. You see, it's that base of support that is the foundation of the structure. Instead of having the weight of responsibility collapse you, you can now hold those responsibilities because you're stable. You have that wide base of support, that foundation. And like that, you see how these responsibilities go hand in hand with finances. The responsibility, putting food on the table, providing for your partner, your family, is associated with finances. You see how there's a relationship between finances and opportunities and responsibility. That now that you feel safe, supported, and you're balanced, you're grounded, you're now open to receiving these opportunities. As the glutes activate, as the lower back relaxes and releases, you also feel how the front of the hips open up. They open up because they finally feel, the system finally feels safe. You feel safe. So what feels like a very vulnerable area that has been closed, that is protecting itself, now finally feels open to receive. Where even these large sums of money that you never thought possible can now be received. They don't feel like weight and pressure anymore. They feel natural because you're no longer seeking financial stability. You have become that stability, that structure, that support, that foundation. You are it. You've embodied it. You become the stability that you're seeking. You become the support that you are seeking. Not through means of doing, but through being. So you're able to hold this money without collapsing. You may have noticed the pattern of having some money and then spilling it. Impulsive purchases. When you have money, then you get rid of it. The self-sabotage, sabotaging your success. People want to pay you, but then you don't feel safe to receive. You're denying yourself. That same blockage that's in the lower back is the same blockage that you're experiencing. The same blockage of the pelvis, guarding, protecting. You're actually resisting receiving that financial support because you don't feel safe. You don't feel deserving of it. You don't feel worthy of it. So you become that block, manifesting that block, just like the block is manifested in the body through tight hips. But now when the support is there, the system feels safe to open, the hips open. And that physical manifestation is also related to the manifestation of receiving abundance in your life. Through finances as just one form. It's not the only form of abundance, but like you can see, finances, the financial support, the financial stability, the financial abundance is also related to opportunities in life. The money represents opportunities because you're open to receiving that abundance. You're open to receiving more opportunities, and you're experiencing more and more of those opportunities as you feel safe. You feel safe to receive in many different forms. And these new opportunities come as synchronicities, they come as miracles, they come as magic, ways that you can't comprehend. They start showing up because your life becomes a reflection of that stability, that support, that structure that you are now embodying, that you have now, on one perspective, become, on another perspective, always have been. You're not holding back, you're not blocking yourself. You now feel safe to receive the support, the stability, the structure. You are it. So your life mirrors it back to you through your finances, through your bank account, because you have contained that energy. You're able to contain the money without collapsing. And you're no longer collapsing under responsibilities. You're no longer collapsing under that pressure. And this pressure that you experience doesn't come when you are comfortable. It doesn't come when you have money in the bank. You're actually forged when you have that money. When you think that you're gonna forge yourself when you have money in the bank. It doesn't provide the conditions to find that inner strength, to find that inner stability. It's actually in times where you don't have that money, when your savings are dwindling down, when you feel like your reservoir is emptied. It's then when you find that stability, that security, that safety within, and that structure, that stability that you've been seeking externally, you find it within yourself. You find it as that aspect of yourself that has been asleep, dormant. But now it's being awakened. Through this root awakening, you become, you are that stability that you have been seeking. through finances, you're able to contain it without collapsing. So now you can hold that money. You feel safe to hold that money. You feel stable to hold that money. That containment allows you to, instead of collapse, but to circulate that money. You feel safe to circulate money, bigger sums of money, both giving and receiving. You're not holding on through attachment. When I say hold, I mean hold as in how a bucket holds water. It contains the water. It's not attached to water. You allow that currency, the current of the money, to simply flow. It's an energetic currency. The money represents that same energetic currency flowing through the body. And because there's no blockage there associated with safety, support, stability, structure, containment, you feel that flow circulating through the entire system, and your life reflects that back to you. If you're struggling with financial stability and this message resonates and you want to go deeper to the root cause, literally to the root, then I invite you on that journey to the root, to ground yourself, to feel yourself as that stability that you're seeking, to experience that security that you long for, that safety, and to experience that support where you're supported by life, because ultimately you are life. If this message resonates with you, let it be your invitation to join me on the journey of truth.